Welcome back to OT Sports. Today we got episode 1 of MLB All Around. MLB is officially back. It's been quite a bit, but the season is just around the corner. It starts in, I believe, 2 days from when this video is going to be uploaded. And today we're going to be giving our full in-depth season preview and predictions. We're going to be going through every single division, predicting them from bottom to top. All the placements of the teams, and then we're going to get into our playoff predictions based on my seeding predictions. If you're new around here, make sure you go down there, subscribe to the channel. We got lots of content: college basketball, college football, NFL, NBA, and of course MLB. This week we're going to be doing our Sweet 16 predictions for March Madness. That's going to be tomorrow, and then NBA on Thursday. So if you're interested in any of that, go down there, turn on the noties, subscribe to the channel. You're not going to want to miss it. But with all that being said, I think it's time to get into our predictions. So starting off in the AL East, the 5th place team, I have the Boston Red Sox. They didn't really do much in the offseason to make me think that they could get any better. They have a solid pitching rotation. Nick Pivetta. Oh, one more thing before we keep going. I'm not the biggest baseball guy, so I don't know, all the in-depth names like that. So I'm just going to go off what I know and what I've seen a lot of other predictions yet, but I've got my own predictions here. So anyways, they got Nick Pivetta at pitcher. That's really the only guy I know. I think their bullpen's pretty solid. I believe they have Liam Hendricks. I don't know if he'll play all that much. Batting wise, though, they're pretty solid. They got a rookie from last year, Masataka Yoshida. He was really good. I think he'll continue to get better. Rafael Devers is very good for them. Tyler O'Neill, Vaughn Grissom was very good. But, they finished last place last year, and they didn't really do much to make me think they'll get much better, to be honest. So I think 5th place for the Red Sox is fair. 4th place, I have the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, I worry about putting the Rays this low just because they always tend to do good no matter what. People always doubt them, and they always prove them wrong. Now, they still have a very good rotation, pitching-wise. They got some solid guys in there. And hitting-wise, Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lowe, Randy Arozarena, obviously, Josh Lowe. I mean, they have a lot of guys. This division is so competitive, and I just don't think they stack up good enough compared to the top 3 teams in this division. Now, they could definitely prove me wrong. I wouldn't be too shocked if that happened. They always do it. But I think these top 4 teams in this division will all be within a pretty close amount of games. I don't see anyone really running away with this division except for maybe the team I have in first, but I wouldn't call it running away. I think it will be pretty close, but I do have the Rays finishing 4th. 3rd place, I got the Blue Jays. Now, every year I'm always high on the Blue Jays preseason, so this year calmed it down a little bit. I don't think they'll finish, at the top of this division. But there's always the potential there with them. Kevin Gausman is very good. Jose Barrios, 1-2 punch right there. Pitching wise, bullpen wise, they're very solid. They got a lot of depth in there. Alejandro Kirk, Vlad Guerrero, Bo Bichette. I mean, they have a bunch of guys. George Springer, Justin Turner, they just brought in. Daniel Vogelback. I really like this Blue Jays team. But I feel like they tend to disappoint every year. I feel like they don't really live up to their hype. So I'm going to go ahead and conservative here and say 3rd. But I think they could honestly finish anywhere from 1st to even 4th. I wouldn't be shocked. They have the potential to be very good. But will they reach that potential? I'm not sure. And that's kind of similar with my 2nd place team. I have the Yankees. Now, a lot of people are saying they should finish first, and I can see why. They have a loaded team. Pitching-wise, Garrett Cole is injured, which I think is worrisome to start the year. So the rotation has taken a little bit of a hit, but it's still very solid. Carlos Rodon, Marcus Stroman, they just brought in from the Cubs. Yeah, I don't really know anyone else, but it's without Garrett Cole, they're gonna struggle early, I think, and I think some people will start to worry. And honestly, if they get hurt, they could be in some trouble. They don't have too much depth. I feel like one injury, and they could be screwed. They still got Anthony Rizzo, Gleyber Torres, DJ LeMahieu. They brought in Juan Soto. They have Aaron Judge, so he's obviously. They still got Stanton, Alex Verdugo, Anthony Volpe. I mean, this team is loaded. It's just, can they stay healthy, I think, is the question, because I don't really like any of their depth. They don't have too many good prospects, at least that I'm aware of, that they could bring up if they were to suffer a big injury. Aaron Judge is banged up a little bit. Garrett Cole is going to miss. I don't know how long he's going to miss, but he's definitely going to miss some time this season, which does worry me for them to start the season. But I still think, just with on paper, they should at least finish third, but I have them second. I honestly think they could finish anywhere from first to fourth. Same with the Blue Jays. I mean, it's just, can they stay healthy, I think. But the first place team, I'm going with the Orioles. I think they're going to win this division again. Like I said, a lot of predictive sites are saying the Yankees. I honestly think the Orioles should be the favorite here. They brought in Corbin Burns to an already very deep, solid rotation. They still have Kyle Bradish. Grayson Rodriguez is going to continue to get better. John Means is very solid. They have a very good bullpen. They lose Jose Bautista, but they still have a lot of guys in there. They bring in Craig Kimbrell, which I think is a good addition. I really like their pitching depth. They have a really good team, and hitting-wise, very loaded. Adley Rutschman, one of the best players in the league. Mountcastle, Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holliday, Cedric Mullins, Santander. I really like this Orioles team, and I think they're going to win this division. I honestly think 2, 3, 4 might be within like 5 games of each other. Like second and fourth, I think will be within 5 games, and I feel like there's going to be another 5-game difference between first and second. I just think the Orioles just have the most deep and the best team, honestly, in this division. So give me the Baltimore Orioles. Good for them. But now moving to the AL Central, and to start off the AL Central at the bottom, I have the White Sox now. It sucks. I am a Cubs fan, but I don't really hate to see the White Sox be bad. I've never really hated them that much. It sucks. Their pitching is just not great, to be honest. They lose a lot of their guys. They did have a solid rotation, but a lot of them are gone. They just traded, what's his name? They just traded somebody to the Padres. I'm blanking on the name, but they just traded one of their Dylan Cease. They also don't have Lance Lynn anymore. It's tough, honestly. They still have Michael Kopech, I guess, but I don't know. It doesn't look good for the White Sox. They just got rid of a bunch of their guys. They just traded Tim Anderson, to the Marlins. They have Andrew Vaughn. I mean, they still have some solid players. They're just not very a deep team. They have Yohan Moncada. They have Luis Robert. They have Eloy Jimenez. Gavin Sheets is solid. Kevin Pillar solid. It's just not a great team. I don't think the White Sox will be very much of anything this season. I think they'll probably be, honestly, probably a bottom 5 team, maybe even a bottom 3 team in the league this year. Fourth place, I got the Royals, and I've seen some people wanting, picking the Royals like second or third. I understand it. They have a lot of hype going into the season. but I don't think they're better than the three teams I have ahead of them. Salvador Perez is still very solid for them. I don't honestly know too much about their pitching rotation. Bobby Witt Jr., one of the best players in the league. But Hunter Renfroe's solid. But when you really look at this roster, I don't know. I feel like there's not that many guys. Adam Frazier's pretty good. But like I said, that's only like 4 or 5 guys that I named. Now, there might be more that I'm missing. Like I said, I'm not the biggest baseball guy, so I don't know everything. But yeah, I don't see much here on this Royals team where I can put them any higher than this. Now, hey, props to you if you think they'll finish second or third, but I got them fourth. You can call me a casual. I mean, I am a casual. Third place, I got the Guardians. I feel like they have a lot of hype going into every year, and they always disappoint, at least for the past couple of years. Shane Bieber is their ace, but he honestly just continues to get worse and worse, I feel like, every single year. Besides that, their pitching isn't great. They have Emmanuel Clase, who's a very good closer, and, bullpen-wise, they're decent. They still have Jose Ramirez. He'll win them some games for sure. But honestly, besides that, I don't really see much on this team to make me get excited for them. Yeah, I honestly don't know much about really a lot of this division, to be honest. This is probably the division I know the least about, but it's honestly probably due to the fact that they are always bad every single year. And I feel like this year they'll probably, once again, be the weakest division. Second place, I have the Tigers. A lot of people are picking the Tigers. It's kind of the trendy pick to win the division. I'm not quite there yet. Pitching-wise, they're solid. Skubal, Jack Flaherty is alright. Kenza Maeda, solid. They have some solid guys. Bullpen, actually pretty good. They have Spencer Torkelson at first base. He's very good. Gio Urshela, Javier Baez. I feel like a lot of their success is going to rely on him. He doesn't have to return to prime form, but can he be a solid player? Because last year he was one of the worst players in the league, which is crazy. But he was. Can he provide for them and give them at least an average, season? Because if he can do that, I think the Tigers can definitely finish second, maybe even first. But I feel like a lot of that their success relies on him. I'm going to go ahead and say they finish second. I like their team, but I don't think they're better than the first place team, which I think will be the Minnesota Twins once again. Pablo Lopez, one of the best pitchers in the league, along with Joe Ryan. That 1-2 punch is ridiculous. Bullpen-wise, very good. Hitting-wise, they got Byron Buxton still, Carlos Santana, Carlos Correa, and they got Max Kepler still. This team is really good, honestly. I think the Twins, they're one of the, I feel like they're the bright spot in this division. I feel like the Twins could actually have a very good year this year. I think they'll win this division by, honestly, a pretty solid amount. But now moving on to the AL West, and at the bottom, no surprise here, we got the A's. I mean, who do the A's even have? I actually don't know if I can name a player. I'm being for real. I'm trying to think right now. I don't know if I can name a player on this A's team. I know I'm, not the biggest baseball guy. But that's pretty bad. I can usually name a player on every team. Estier Ruiz, I believe that's how you say it. I think he's on the A's. So I guess I can name one. But the fact that it took me that long, that's got to show you something. This A's team is not good at all. They're going to finish last in this division. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. They're maybe the worst team in baseball. I think the Rockies could give them a run for their money. I don't know if the White Sox are on that level yet. But, the A's are the Rockies, in my opinion, worst team in baseball. Fourth place, I got the Angels. They lose Ohtani. That's the big story that everyone wants to talk about. Still got Mike Trout. you know, they pitching wise, they're not the best. Hitting wise, besides Mike Trout, they got Logan O'Hoppe. They still have Taylor Ward. But besides that, they're not great. Anthony Rendon is still there, but how will he perform this season? I don't know. It's kind of a big question mark for me. So yeah, I got the Angels finishing fourth. They just really don't have much. Mike Trout, I know he won't do it, but he's kind of like the Damian Lillard of baseball. Just request a trade. Nobody's gonna. You've been with the Angels for your whole career. They haven't given you any success. Nobody's gonna hate you. You've done your part. The city loves you. I think it's time. I mean, he probably won't do it, but I think it's time he gets out of there. Ohtani was fortunate enough to get out of there. He's now with the Dodgers. And yeah, I think Mike Trout should probably follow. I'm not saying follow him to the Dodgers, but try and get out of there, because the Angels just aren't giving him much. Third place, I have the Seattle Mariners, and I'm actually very high on the Mariners this year. They probably have the best pitching in all of baseball. That's what I've seen a lot of people say, so I'm just going to go with it. Luis Castillo, George Kirby, I know, and Logan Gilbert. That 1-2-3 right there is ridiculous. And yeah, a lot of people are telling me they have the best rotation in all of baseball. Luis Castillo, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Bullpen-wise, very solid, very deep. Hitting-wise, Jorge Polanco, Luis Urias, J.P. Crawford, Julio Rodriguez, Mitch Garver, Jonathan Clase. They have a really good team. I really like this Mariners team, and I really like their pitching, honestly. I think that is really what's getting me higher on them than I originally would. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying the pitchings, so I'm going to go with it. I really like this Mariners team, but I don't think they can finish ahead of the top two teams in this division. I think they're just a little bit better. Second place, I have the Rangers, the defending World Series champions. I think they might struggle a little bit to start the year. World Series hangover. They're going to be without Jacob deGrom, but they'll still have Max Scherzer. Like I said, Jacob deGrom will come back. Nathan Eovaldi is still there. Andrew Heaney. They did lose Jordan Montgomery, but this team's still very good. Jonah Heim at catcher. Marcus Semien, very good player. Corey Seager, one of the best players in the league. Adolis Garcia was ridiculous in the playoffs. Will he be able to carry that over to this season? I don't know. We'll see. But this Rangers team, like I said, they won the World Series last year for a reason. They're one of the best teams in baseball. But I don't think they'll finish first in this division. I'm going with the Astros. They always perform. I mean, it's the Astros. They always win. I don't know what it is, but I think they're the best team. Framber Valdez, Justin Verlander, Christian Javier, great 1-2-3 right there pitching. They have some guys, Lance McCullers, Jose Urquidy, Josh Hader. I mean, the bullpen is ridiculous. They have an insane bullpen. They have some insane pitching depth. I mean, they're just deep all around. Jose Abreu kind of was alright last season, but I think he'll have a bounce back year. Jose Altuve still there. Alex Bregman, Jeremy Pena, McCormick, Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez. This team's loaded. I think they finish first in the AL. Not in the AL, but in the AL West. So now we're done with the American League. Let's go in to the National League, where honestly I feel like these three divisions are honestly, I don't know. I feel like they're more interesting, because the NL Central, you could go a lot of different ways. The NL East, not really. But the NL West, I think, is very interesting too. Now, the AL West was a very good division, and same with the AL East, but, whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but let's just get into the NL East. So at the bottom, I have the Washington Nationals. I don't think it's that big of a surprise. think they're going to be the worst team in this division. They have a decent pitching rotation. I know Patrick Corbin is there. That's really it. Hitting wise, they bring in Joey Gallo. Luis Garcia is still there. C.J. Abrams is a really good player. But besides that, I don't really know too many guys on this team. I think they're the weakest team in this division, so they're going to be my last place team. Fourth place, I have the Miami Marlins. They probably got worse from last year, and last year they weren't great. Jesus Luzardo still there, but they lose Sandy Alcantara, which I think is going to hurt them a lot. Yuri Perez, they still have a decent pitching rotation, but yeah, I don't know. Josh Bell, Luis Ariz, I don't think he'll be as good as last season, but I mean that's a pretty tall task. He was in like 350 on the year. That's ridiculous. I don't think they'll be able to keep that up. I don't know if I said Josh Bell already, but Josh Bell's there. Jake Berger. They bring in Tim Anderson. I think that could be interesting. Jazz Chisholm. Avisel Garcia. I honestly like this Marlins team. But, yeah, like I said, they didn't really do much to get better from last year. And last season, they weren't great. I'm pretty sure they finished either third or fourth. Third place, I have the Mets. I think they'll do better than they did last year. Kodai Senga, Jose Quintana, Luis Severino. None of those guys are really amazing, but they have a decent bullpen, I think, which will make up for it. They have Edwin Diaz as their closer, and this team very talented. Francisco Alvarez, Pete Alonso, I think will have a better year. Jeff McNeil. Honestly, I feel like a lot of their guys had just bad years last year. I feel like a lot of them will have a bounce back year. Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, Harrison Bader, Starling Marte, JD Martinez. I like this team. I don't think they're better than the top two teams, but I feel like they actually could give them a run for their money. And I worry just because it's the Mets, they always disappoint. But I feel like they could be sneaky this year. I feel like a lot of people are counting them out after how disappointing last year was. I don't know. I feel like a lot of their guys are in for a bounce back, which is kind of why I like them. But I'm going to go ahead and play it safe. I think they finished third. Second place, I got the Phillies. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, one of maybe the best 1-2 punch in all of baseball in terms of pitching. That's just a ridiculous 1-2 punch. They have a very good bullpen. The rest of their rotation's very good. JT Realmuto, one of the best catchers in the league. Bryce Harper, one of the best players in the league. Alec Boehm, Trey Turner, another really good player. Castellanos, I don't know how I'm worried about him a little bit. Kyle Schwarber, another guy who's just ridiculous hitting the ball. Him at DH will honestly be amazing for them. He just hammers the ball. He's gonna hit a lot of home runs for them. I really like this Phillies team. I think they go ahead and finish second in the AL East, but I don't think anyone's touching the Braves. They're just always the best team. They have a ridiculous team. Honestly, in my opinion, I think they could give the Dodgers a run for their money. A lot of people are saying, oh, the Dodgers, they have an all-star team. Do we not forget what the Braves did last year? They have pretty much the same team from last year, and last year they had like 7 all-stars or something like that. The Braves were literally an all-star team last year. Spencer Strider, Max Fried, Charlie Morton, ridiculous 1-2-3 right there. And they have a lot of depth pitching-wise, too. I mean, they have Ronaldo Lopez, who I really like, in the bullpen. Joe Jimenez, very good player. Iglesias is still there. Hitting-wise, Sean Murphy, Travis D'Arnaud. I don't know how you say that, but I know the guy plays catcher for them. Sometimes he goes in at DH. Sean Murphy is the better one. He's a really good player. Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Orlando Arcia, uh, Adam Duvall, Ronald Acuna Jr., Marcell Ozuna. This team's just loaded. I like I said, I feel like they could give the Dodgers a run for their money. I don't know. You could call me crazy, but this is a legitimate all-star team, along with, of course, the Dodgers. We'll get to them in a little bit. But this, honestly, is the most interesting division, in my opinion. The NL Central, I believe, is wide open this year. I think you can make a case that all five of these teams could win this division. Now, maybe not that, but you get what I'm saying. It's wide open. So if you're at the bottom, this 1 through 5, I don't think any of them are all that amazing. They're all just kind of average. Now, I don't want to say that because I think the top 2, maybe 3 teams in this division will be a little bit above average, and then 4 and 5 might be a little bit below. But that's besides the point. I think this is a very deep division, and you could order this a lot of different ways. So at 5th place, pains me to do it, but I got the Pirates. I feel like they're the weakest team here. Mitch Keller's a great ace for them, pitching-wise, but besides that, I don't really see much there. They still have O'Neal Cruz, who's amazing, Brian Reynolds, Andrew McCutchen. Besides that, Ke'Bryan Hayes, I forgot about him. Besides that, though, I don't know. Henry Davis is a pretty good catcher, but I just feel like they're the weakest team in this division, just looking at their roster. Milwaukee Brewers, I have at 4th place. Now, this one worries me because the Brewers always do good no matter what, but I'm going to tell you why. Last year, it was really, their pitching that carried them. One of the best pitching teams in the league last year, but this year they lose Corbin Burns. They don't have Brandon Woodruff anymore. It's Freddie Peralta, it's Wade Miley, and then who else? I don't know. I don't think. Obviously their pitching is going to struggle without. I don't want to say struggle, but they will definitely take a step back from where they were last year. And hitting wise, they're not overly impressive either. William Contreras, I really like him. Gary Sanchez is solid. Willie Adames, really good. Christian Yelich is still there. Really, besides that, I don't see much on this Brewers team. I think they finished 4th. You could call me crazy. I don't see it for this Brewers team. 3rd place, I have the Cardinals. And a lot of people are telling me they're finishing 1st. I don't see it. Last year was their pitching that struggled, and the only thing they really changed is they add Sonny Gray. Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn are solid, I guess. But, realistically, that's not an amazing rotation. Now, hitting-wise, they still have the big names. Wilson Contreras, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Brandon Crawford. They still have Matt Carpenter. Dylan Carlson, but they're getting older. I don't know how consistent they will be. I still worry about their pitching from just because of how bad it was last year. I don't think the Cardinals will win this division. I think they finished 3rd. 2nd place, I have the Reds. They have a very young team. Pitching-wise, I like what they have. Hunter Green is a really good player. I think he'll really, put it together this season and really show out, I guess you could say. Nick Lodolo is still there. Graham Ashcraft, Frankie Montas. I really like this rotation for them. And I honestly think pitching wise, that could be their strength. I think pitching wise, they are, one of the better teams in all of baseball. Hitting wise, Jonathan India, very good player. Candelario, hitting wise, Ellie De La Cruz, I think, will return. He started off really hot, kind of cooled down as the year went on. I think he'll return to that very good. He's in for a breakout year. He's one of the best players in the league, honestly, already, and he's just going to continue to get better. Spencer Steer still there. I really like this Reds team. I think pitching-wise, they're one of the better teams in all of baseball. And I think they finished second in this division. But honestly, I think you can call me biased because I am a Cubs fan. I think the Cubs are the best team in this division. Justin Steele, one of the best pitchers in the league. Shota Imanaga, they bring him in from Japan. He's in for a great year. I think Kyle Hendricks still there with the team. Jamison Talion, Jordan Wicks. Bullpen-wise, they have a very good bullpen. Alzolay, Wisniewski, Drew Smiley. I really like what they got going. Hitting-wise, Yan Gomes, Nico Horner, Christopher Morel, Patrick Wisdom, Dansby Swanson, Ian Happ. They bring back Cody Bellinger. He's going to be amazing. Mike Tauchman. Seiya Suzuki, I think, is in for a breakout year. Pete Carroll Armstrong, one of the better prospects in the league. I think they give him some play this year. I think he'll really show out. I just think the Cubs are the best team from top to bottom. I like the Cardinals hitting. I really do. I like the Reds pitching. But I think the Cubs have a bit of both. I think they're the most well-rounded team. And I think they win this division. And I'm excited to watch the Cubs this year. NL West, I got the Rockies at the bottom. I'm telling you, besides Chris Bryant, and he's not even all that good, I don't know if I can name a player on this Rockies team. They are just ridiculously bad. Pitching-wise, they don't have much. Hitting-wise, there's really nothing on this team. They still have Charlie Blackmon, I guess. But, this Rockies team might be worse than the A's. I'm being so for real when I say that. So they might give up the most runs in an MLB history. Their pitching is so bad, and they play in the altitude, so the ball flies in the air a lot, higher and farther. This Rockies team is bad. NL West, fourth place, I have the Giants. This one does worry me, similar to the Brewers, but the Giants, man, they always tend to win. I don't know what it is. They always have not a great team on paper, but they always tend to get it done. I don't know what it is, and maybe it's the coaching. They still have a very solid team, though. Logan Webb, Blake Snell, they just brought in. That's a great 1-2 punch right there. But besides that, the rotation, in my opinion, is really lacking. And hitting wise, they have a decent team, I guess. Matt Chapman's still there. I don't know how to say his name, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Mike Yastrzemski, I think that's how you say it. Jorge Soler. I don't know. This team just, on paper, they shouldn't be that good, but they always tend to surprise, and they always tend to win. But I think fourth place for them, I think, is what I'm going to go with. I don't feel great about it. Third place, I got the Padres. Yu Darvish, Dylan Cease. Great 1-2 punch right there. They still have Joe Musgrove. I like that pitching rotation. Now, their depth isn't great, but, we'll see. Hitting-wise, though, they still have the crazy lineup. Now, they lose Juan Soto, but still have Xander Bogaerts, Manny Machado, Ha-Sung Kim, Fernando Tatis, obviously. Cronenworth, they still have. It's a really good team. I think that if they make the playoffs, they could be scary for anyone who has to play them. And I do think they will make the playoffs. I have them finishing third, though. The NL West is a very good division. Second place, I have the Diamondbacks, defending runner-up from last year, and they're a very good team. Corbin Carroll, I think, will continue to improve on what he did last year. Zach Gallen, Eduardo Rodriguez, Brandon Pfaadt. I like that pitching rotation there. They have a lot of depth. Tucker Barnhart's amazing. Eugenio Suarez, Lourdes Gurriel, like I said, Corbin Carroll. They have Jock Peterson now. They brought him in. I like that addition for them. Christian Walker at first base. I think he'll be very solid this year. I don't know. I just feel like the Diamondbacks are in for another really good year. Will they have the run they did last year? Probably not. But I think they're a very solid team. Now the number one, it has to be the Dodgers. I mean, they're going to win over 100 games. It's pretty simple. When you look at this team top to bottom, Yamamoto, Walker Buehler, Tyler Glasnow, Bobby Miller. They're going to have Clayton Kershaw in there. It's ridiculous. Their bullpen is insane. And then hitting-wise, it's like I said earlier, it's an all-star lineup. Will Smith at catcher. First base, they have Freddie Freeman. Second base is I don't know who second base, to be honest, but third base, Max Muncy. Shortstop, they got Mookie Betts. Teoscar Hernandez in the outfield. James Outman. Jason Hayward, ridiculous defensive guy there for them. Miguel Vargas, I forgot to mention him. They have the depth. They have the big names. And, of course, Shohei Ohtani. I don't think he'll have to pitch for them. That's how good this team is. I think he'll be a full-time DH, and he will crush on the Dodgers. This is a ridiculous team. They're going to finish first in the division, and I think they'll be the number one seed in the National League. But with all that previewing of all 30 teams and where they'll finish in the division, now let's get into the fun part. We're putting all of them in a bracket, so I have the top 6 teams. So we're just going to go through the seeding real quick. So I have the Orioles finishing first in the AL. Second seed, I got the Astros. Third seed, I got the Twins. 4th seed, I got the Rangers. 5 seed, Yankees. And 6 seed, Mariners. Looking over to the National League, I got the 1-seeded Dodgers. 2-seeded Braves. 3-seeded Cubs. 4-seed Phillies. 5-seed Diamondbacks. 6-seed Padres. So now that you got all that, let's get into the first matchup. So Twins, Mariners. Really good first round, wild card round game. 3-game series here. This is going to be a very defensive. I can tell you right now, it's going to be 3 games. You're going to have the Mariners, who I think have the best pitching in all of baseball, and they're going to have to go up against Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan. That is. It's going to be like a 1-0 game or 2-1. In a defensive style game like that, though, I honestly think both these teams will have a sneaky good offense too. Byron Buxton versus Julio Rodriguez. I think this would be a great 3-game series. I think it would go all 3 games. And for that reason, I'm going with the Mariners. I feel like if the Mariners can win one of the first 2 games, which I think they will, I don't trust the Twins' third pitcher. I mean, he's great. I don't know who he is, but it's Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, and then there's quite a bit of a drop-off. With the Mariners, you got Luis Castillo, who's one of the best pitchers in the league, but the 2 and 3rd are, their second and third guy there, I think, are just, not as good, but they're very solid. I've seen people saying that the Mariners could have 3 Cy Young candidates. That's how good I think their pitching is. I think in a defensive style game, I think it favors the Mariners more. I think it goes all 3 games, and I think the Mariners have more pitching depth, and I think they get it done. So I'm going with a little bit of an upset there. Rangers, Yankees. If the Yankees get here, I'm not all that certain how healthy they'll be. They always tend to disappoint in the playoffs. We saw the Rangers make the World Series last year. I don't know if they get back there again, but I am going to go ahead and take the Rangers to beat the Yankees. Crazy as it is to say, I trust them more. Garrett Cole, I believe, he'll be healthy by then if the Yankees are lucky enough to get here. They still have Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, but like I said, they're just like one injury away, and they just don't have much depth. I trust the Rangers more to stay healthy, and they have a really good lineup, I think, that can compete against this Yankees team. I'm going with the Rangers over the Yankees. Call me crazy. But a lot of people are going to have the Yankees finishing maybe even first in the American League. I honestly don't see it. Moving over to the NL wildcard games, 3-seeded Cubs versus 6-seeded Padres. Now in this matchup, it pains me to say this, but I don't think the Cubs will win this. I think the Padres are too talented, and I trust them more, to be honest. The Cubs did win a World Series a little bit ago, but after that, they really just haven't done much in the playoffs. They got in as a 3-seed in the COVID year, and they got in as a 3-seed in the pandemic year, and they lost to the Marlins in 2 games. But yeah, I trust the Padres more. They have a better, I don't want to say a better lineup. I think the Cubs pitching gets them here, but the Padres have a very solid pitching as well. Darvish, Dylan Cease, Joe Musgrove, the good 1-2-3. I think this is going to be, I don't know. This one's tough. I'm going to go all 3 games. I think the Padres just have a little bit of a better offense here. I think they'll score a little too much for the Cubs to keep up with. Pitching-wise, I think it's pretty even. I'm going to go with the Padres in 3 games. And then moving over to the last wildcard game, Phillies versus Diamondbacks. This one's a toss-up for me. It really is. I'm going with the Phillies just because I trust them in the playoffs a little bit more than Diamondbacks. I know the Diamondbacks made the World Series last year, but I don't think they're in for that good of a run this year, and I trust the Phillies a little too much. I think they have a little too much offensively, and then, that 1-2 pitching-wise, well, honestly, I don't think the Diamondbacks have a good enough, response to Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola. I honestly think the Phillies will win this in 2 games, but I think both games will be close. Now looking back over to the American League, 2-seeded Astros taking on the 6-seeded Mariners, and I think the Mariners end the season hot. I think that win against the Twins gets their momentum going. I've got the Mariners in the ALCS. Call me crazy. They have ridiculous pitching. Now I know the Astros team is loaded, as it always is, but I like this Mariners team. There's always upsets in the MLB playoffs. The best teams usually don't win. It's usually who's the hottest going in. That's how we saw the Rangers Diamondbacks last year. I don't think anyone would have told you those were the 2 best teams in the league last year. But that's what happened. It's typically who's hottest, and I think the Mariners get the Astros. They will have played them a lot during the season. They're in the same division. They'll know how each other play. I think the Mariners do it. I think this is their breakthrough year. I think they have a really good year this year. I like the Mariners. Rangers versus Orioles. This one's very tough because the Rangers, once they get going, they're tough to stop. We saw it last year. They won the whole thing. But I think this Orioles team is just on a mission this year. Last year, they were the number 1 seed, and they lost. Did they make it to the ALCS? I actually am not sure. Hold on, I'm going to have to look at this because I forgot who's in the ALCS last year. So let me do a quick Google search really quick here. It was the Astros. The Orioles lost to the Rangers last year. They actually got swept 3-0. I think they're on a revenge tour this year. I really do. I think this Orioles team is gonna get some revenge. Last year, I love this Orioles team, but I said wait another year. That's what I said. I said they got to get some more playoff experience under their belt. They're still a very young team. They're still coming together. I think this year they're in for a big run. I think they get their revenge over the Rangers. It's a 5-game series. I'll go 3-2. I'll go 3-2. I think the Rangers still give them a run for their money. But I got to go with the Orioles. Like I said, last year I said wait another year. Well, that year is, it's upon us. And I think the Orioles will get to the ALCS this season. Looking over at the National League, Padres versus Braves. I don't think the Padres have enough to compete with the Braves. The Braves are just overall the better team. I think they have the edge in pitching and batting. The Padres will give them a good series, I think. But honestly, I think it was pretty bold for me to say that they would even get to the NLDS. Some people might not even have them in the playoffs. I'll go with the Braves over the Padres in 4. I'll go Braves 3-1. And then looking at this one, Dodgers-Phillies. I said it all last year. The Phillies are a dangerous team to meet in the playoffs, and I still do believe that. But I think the Dodgers this season are just... I think they just have too much. I don't think the Phillies will be able to compete. Like I said, the Dodgers have an all-star lineup. I mean, they really do. And I think that will set up a tremendous NLDS. Braves-Dodgers. That would be ridiculous. I can't wait to see that if that happens. Looking at the ALDS first, though, we got the Mariners, the 6 seed versus the 1 seed. And I think if this sets up for the Orioles, I think this is a pretty favorable path for them. I have them in the World Series. I love this Orioles team. Like I said, they have one more year of experience under their belt from last year. Last year they were the 1 seed. Don't forget that in the American League. I think they get to the World Series this year. I really do. I love their lineup. I love their pitching, their depth, their hitting. All around, I think they're just the best team in the American League, so I'm going to go ahead and take them. In the National League, I got the 1 versus 2. It's chalky. I know I said the best team never wins in baseball. But I'm going to, I'm going to stick with this. I think these are the 2 best teams in the National League, so I think they both get here. But I am going to go back to what I just said. I don't think the best team usually doesn't win in baseball. Who's the best team on paper in baseball? It's probably the Dodgers. I think the Braves get them. In a 7-game series, I think, I trust them more. We've seen them do it more often. Dodgers known to choke in the playoffs. They always have a really good team, but they never get it done in the playoffs. I trust the Braves more. I love the Braves team. Like I said earlier, I think the Braves give the Dodgers a run for their money in terms of, the best team in baseball. I honestly think these are the 2 best teams in baseball, Braves, Dodgers. I think the Braves get them. Like I said, it's usually never the best team that wins. I think the Dodgers on paper are the best team. So go ahead and give me the Braves to the World Series. I'll go in 7 games. And then Braves versus Orioles in the World Series. I said last year, give the Orioles 1 more year. I don't think they're quite on par to beat the Braves quite yet. I don't think they're that good enough. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Braves as my World Series champion. But I think the Orioles, they're definitely a World Series contender this year. I think the Orioles maybe next year could actually end up winning. We'll see. I don't think they're that good yet. But, they could be. You never know. But I'm going to go ahead and say the Braves win the World Series. They're going to be my 2024 World Series champion. I picked them a lot last year. I'm sticking with the Braves. They have a ridiculously good team. So, yeah, that's going to do it for episode 1 of MLB All Around. Hope you guys enjoyed. We're going to try and get these out once a week. Maybe not right away next week, just because there's not going to be too much to talk about. And early in the season, they maybe not once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. But once we get closer and closer to playoff time, they'll be coming out once a week, maybe even twice a week once we get down to the end of the season. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, make sure you go down there, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss out when we upload any of our videos. Yeah, later this week, tomorrow we're doing Sweet 16 predictions for March Madness, and then Thursday we're gonna have NBA Playoff Watch episode 11. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed this one. See you guys tomorrow with our Sweet 16 predictions.